Time metalhead weatherman. Hope you guys are doing well. It's been a crazy day for me. Car issues, computer issues, and and of course the heat. But we're here now. We're at the end of the weekend. Thank goodness it's Friday. Let's get right into the weather because a lot's going on. So I actually tried to do this video a few minutes ago. Computer is absolutely awful right now. But yeah, you can see it right here. There's an enhanced risk that's been issued earlier today, and there are storms going through right now. Maybe talk of a new severe thunderstorm watch being issued a little bit further to the east, right towards the northern part of Minnesota. And then we have ongoing severe thunderstorm watches in both the Dakotas, and what looks like a plethora of severe storms. Maybe even some supercellular stuff, some supercellular action going on here towards the south. So right now we have no tornado warnings, but we do have a multitude of severe thunderstorm warnings, and we will expect this to increase throughout the evening. We look at the tornado reports today, and we actually have four, and then we also have a plethora of wind and hail reports. Right now, they're sitting at 28 apiece. But Friday seems like the most active day out of the weekend so far. We have our enhanced risk region. This was originally our slight risk and and most of our tornado threat region as well. Grand Forks, Fargo, Aberdeen, Pierre, and Bismarck. It's nothing new here. We were already expecting severe weather in this area. It didn't surprise me that this went up to enhanced risk at all, to be honest. Mentioned it in yesterday's video. Leave the card right here in the corner if you want to, just so I can put you to that. Besides, that video needs a little help anyway right now. Go to our slight risk region. A lot of these areas are just about done with their storms, to be honest, on the western side here. So Rapid City, I think most of your storms are done for. Any areas that are around, like this little corner of Montana and this little corner of Wyoming, I think you guys are done for the night. But areas further off to the east, maybe towards Sioux Falls, Norfolk, and Valentine, we might have to watch you guys a little bit more closely for storms today. And then, of course, we can't ever completely look away from our marginal risk areas. We have Duluth and Minneapolis, Des Moines, and Omaha and Lincoln. We'll watch you guys to Kansas City. We can't rule you out, as well as Springfield. Then we go then even towards central Kansas. We even have Colby that could get an isolated severe storm. Look at the hazard types. Like I said, tornado threat. It's right around our enhanced risk region. Most of these areas are starting to come out. Most of the storms are starting to come out of this area, and the damaging wind threat increases the further east you go. So, basically anyone east of Fargo, I think your tornado threat will start to diminish pretty significantly. And then we'll have to watch areas like Omaha and Lincoln. Areas to the south here, I'm a little bit interested because it seems like in the early stages these storms have the potential to go supercellular. I don't know if the environment's going to be sufficient enough for tornadoes, but a quick spin up can't be ruled out. We go towards a wind threat. We can clearly see that this is the entire enhanced risk region, and we have a hatched risk as well, which means we have a wind threat, a significant wind threat, which means we have a possibility of 70 mile per hour winds or greater. And then then of course in our slight and marginal risk areas, slight is in the yellow, marginals in the brown. Then we get into the hail threat. Same deal, a little bit smaller of an area. It's kind of more synonymous with the tornado threat. So basically Fargo, Grand Rapids, Bismarck, Pierre, Aberdeen, pretty much the same areas. And then, of course, the rest of our areas are highlighted by our slight and marginal risk. Go towards day two. On day two, we have a marginal risk that stretches from the Texas-New Mexico border all the way up through not Indiana, but Illinois, close to Chicago even, And the main threat with this is definitely going to be wind and hail. Tornado threat's almost non-existent with this. Wind field is not impressive at all. But here is our marginal wind and hail threat. We'll have to watch and see if this uptrends to a slight risk. I'm not too sure it will. Things can easily change though. And then on day 3, Sunday, this is where we have our yet another marginal risk, this time for the Ohio Valley, heading through most of Ohio, but we can't forget about areas like Pittsburgh, Buffalo, and Rochester being in play for some storms, potentially some severe weather. Can't really get a good hold on the hazard types, but I'm leaning towards mostly a damaging wind threat. Hail threat is possible, maybe even a brief spin up too, but I'm not too sold on that, to be honest. And then for a good bit of the country, it's going to be active again, a lot of thunderstorms. We're kind of pushing towards what that little bit of a monsoonal type flow towards New Mexico and Arizona. But we also have that opportunity for a few dry thunderstorms, which is very concerning to me. So to me, it looks like we could be in a situation where we could have dry thunderstorms and maybe more wildfires, but I'm kind of leaning more towards monsoon-like rain and potential for flooding, especially around burn-scarred areas. So that could be a handful for a lot of people over in this region, towards the Four Corners. Towards the south central part of the U.S. and towards the southeast, thunderstorm activity is increasing. Nothing severe expected around this region. And that's pretty much all we have for the outlooks. Let's go to the tropics though, because there have been a few developments here as well. We still have this disturbance out here with a 20% chance of formation within 48 hours. But if you actually take a look at the satellite here, you can see this thing's starting to slowly organize and get its act together. It's looking a little bit more symmetrical. There aren't too many bands. There aren't too many feeder bands. It doesn't really have that saw blade look that you would look for with tropical systems. Of course, it's not fully tropical just yet, but it is showing signs that it is developing a center of low pressure. An organized center of low pressure. We just need it to be closed off next. But when we look towards the 5-day outlook, and this is where my interest really starts to peak. Look at this. We mentioned it yesterday in the video as well. Look at this region here towards the Antilles. That is a very interesting spot, and it even shows a small chance of even striking the northern parts of South America. Very interesting there, but we're now looking at a 60% chance of development within 5 days. Yesterday it was only at 40, but it's gone up since then. So things have definitely began to pick up here. And then if you go back, actually, you can see other tropical systems starting to come off the western coast of Africa here. This is our main development region, so we can expect storms to form, but usually that's not. This kind of stuff doesn't happen until at least another month from now. Like, you don't expect storms to pop up in June. Like, it's pretty crazy. So we'll have to keep an eye on this, because this is very bizarre, very ahead of schedule. And I remember bringing it up in a previous video, the steering current right here. Any storms that form out in this region may have a higher chance of getting closer to the U.S. because of this little high that's usually up around here. It's spinning clockwise. It's going to be situated to where if the storms get caught in that, it's just going to shoot it off to the west. All right. So we're going to look at everywhere, of course. We look at the Eastern Pacific, and we have Tropical Storm Celia. It's moving northwest at 6 miles an hour. Gonna be moving off to sea. Not gonna be a threat to too many people. Mainly towards Mexico, and for the most part, you might get some squally weather and some increased surf. But beyond that, not much to really talk about there. So we do have another area of interest that isn't really showing up on the map here, but that also is expected to become a fish storm. So, yeah. And there's a better look at it. Here's our 5-day threat. Here's our 5-day outlook, I mean. And we can clearly see nothing's popped up here, but this is our area of opportunity. And of course, this is trending towards being out towards C. Go to and the reason I'm trying to cover this is because when we go to Hawaii, we're trying to see if there's any threats there. I don't really cover you guys down here in Hawaii enough, so there you go. But nothing really going on here. Weather should be relatively normal for this area. Alright, let's take a look at the models. I mean, I almost don't even have to look at the temperature map. Pretty much everywhere is going to be hot. But we can take a look at the reflectivity map, especially for the severe weather. Here's a line of storms that's popped up. Here's a line of storms popping up here. Handful of storms here having a sort of supercellular, maybe even quasi-linear type look. But for the most part, I think the threat's still going to be damaging winds. This may become a bow echo. I don't think it makes it to derecho status, because it does fall apart into the overnight hours. This isn't really the setup that would lend itself towards a long-lasting line of storms. And then come tomorrow afternoon, I would say, maybe about 6-7 o'clock, that's when our storms pop up here again. Not a very large area of coverage. Could be pretty strong though. And then when we go towards Sunday, we're watching the Ohio Valley. And then once we get towards about maybe, I would say, 4 or 5 o'clock, that's when these storms pop up again. And this line of storms quickly starts to dissipate as it's working its way to the north and east. That's all we got there. We'll still go ahead and take a look at the temperatures. Although, for the most part, if you're pretty much on the eastern half of the country, pretty much right here, or anywhere east of the Rockies, you're going to be hot, no question about it. Let's see if there's any sort of glimmer of hope in the next 3 days, but I'm going to be honest, I don't see it. If anything, even towards the evening, towards the early morning and the evening, it's still going to be pretty toasty, pretty hot, pretty humid around these areas. And even when we get towards the northwest, these temperatures are really starting to surge. We go towards Saturday night and Sunday morning. Looks like it cools down for just a little bit, but this just doesn't last. There's one little area where it looks like it gets cool towards the Four Corners region. This might be where our monsoonal flow is, but even then, a lot of areas are not exempt. Pretty much everyone's going to be hot this weekend. But this is all I got for you on this weekend forecast. I may make a video tomorrow. I may do a long range forecast video tomorrow. If you want me to do a video tomorrow, give me 5 likes. I might do a long range forecast video by that point, or if the weather gets really bad and we do go up to a slight risk or higher, even though I doubt it should be that way, I will drop a video then. But until the next video, this has been Ty, Metalhead Weatherman. Hope you guys have a good Friday and a good weekend.